Hyperbole is the world's biggest problem. You see the headlines all the time. Sugar is as addictive as cocaine, milk is worse than smoking, and research shows that heroin is less addictive than Oreos. Wait, what? You see that, and then you immediately share it on Facebook because you think it's funny, or because it confirms what you've always deep down believed in your heart. I've always not believed that too. Let's just take a step back and look at what's actually being said. Oreos are more addictive than the H train? When was the last time you walked through a sketchy area of town late at night and saw somebody strung out with an empty plastic bag and little chocolate cookie crumbs all over their face? When was the last time your Uncle Frank stole a car and sold it to a chop shop so he could get some more of that sweet Nabisco goodness? I'm pretty sure the answer is never, because that never happened, except in countries that are Nabisco poor. Anyway, hyperbole is the use of obvious, deliberate exaggeration, usually to make a point. It's like saying, I've told you 1,000,000 times, which of course you didn't, because that would mean you spent a majority of your life doing nothing but telling that person that one thing, which nobody does. Some people, people like me, would say comparing potential addictiveness of cookies to cocaine is obviously hyperbolic, and usually if you read the article it's based on, you'll find that it was overhyped and arguably hyperbolic. Also, maybe lab rats just don't like cocaine. The problem is, there seem to be a whole lot of people that can't tell the difference, both authors and readers. And if you can't tell the difference between normal communication and hyperbole, well then it's just misinformation. So I have some Oreos up there, sorry. That's all they're good for. Worst cookie ever. People use hyperbolic statements a lot these days to try to grab attention. The problem is many hyperbolic statements, meaning all of them, only convey correct information if you already have an understanding of what's true and false about the subject matter. Which means no matter how effective it is for getting people to pay attention, it's horrible for conveying new information accurately, and the misinformation and irresponsibility of it all is only compounded when you hear people repeat intentionally overstated headlines as if they were facts. 200% of the things you say are actually hyperbolic. Usually it comes down to a study or a piece of information that if the author takes and twists just a little bit, it makes for an evocative headline, although that stretch usually pushes it towards the realm of fabrication, or all the way into fabrication. That's just lying. Hyperbole sounds so much nicer. Another article I saw boldly proclaimed, "Bacon makes you live longer." What? This is like what News from Heaven feels like. It's too bad it's way off the mark. What it should have said is, studies show that niacin, a vitamin found in bacon, increases longevity in worms, according to one study, which isn't really saying the same thing at all. And yet the conclusion of the article was, well, maybe bacon can make you live longer. There's a huge problem with that, starting with the maybe part that got left out of the title, and also the fact that you're not a worm, so niacin might not make you live longer, and then there's all the other things in bacon that might kill you early, so pretty sure bacon is not the key to immortality or even to longevity. It's okay to shed a tear for bacon. Really, you should be extra wary of news articles that contain any modal verbs that seem to express doubt or possibility. Can, could, may, might, should, as well as any headline that ends in a question mark. Be suspicious, because these are all very strong indicators that the title is probably conjecture at best, not true on any real meaningful level, and patently false at worst. It may not be fake news, but it's likely highly processed, manufactured clickbait type news. You know, like if gluten and high fructose corn syrup had a GMO baby. But the problem isn't just in reporting about food or drugs, it happens in articles about all kinds of things. Government and science and race relations. Hyperbole is everywhere. Even in that last statement. Hyperbolic. Hyperbole is just fine if it's obvious what you're doing, but it's not okay in situations where average readers have no idea that it's deliberate exaggeration, or to simply make the story more attractive to read. And doing it to intentionally get more viewers seems less hyperbole and more direct intentional misinformation. You thought your friend was crazy when he said his snack food was just like crack, but maybe he was just being hyperbolic. To sum it up, be careful of what you read, be especially careful of what you quote from titles instead of the content as backup for what you believe, and if it sounds too good to be true or too bad to be true, well, there's probably something hyperbolic going on. If you look at the dates on any of the articles I listed below, you'll realize how long this one has been sitting on the shelf waiting to get made. Does anybody even read those articles? You know we're talking about rhetoric and not math, because something that's hyperbolic is like this. Kind of, the axis, and then it just weird. Never touches stuff. I'm not going to eat this. No way. I might grind it up and try and sell it to the neighbors, though. Coming up with hyperbolic jokes takes forever. It's also hyperbole. That's the snack food cops I gotta answer. Not funny.